Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagotpakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, first canto, 13th chapter, text number 19. Pratikriyana yasyeha कुतश्चित् कर्हिचित् प्रभो स एष भगवान् कालः सर्वेषां न समागतः प्रतिक्रिया न यस्येह कुतश्चित् कर्हिचित् प्रभो स एष भगवान् कालः सर्वेषां न समागतः प्रतिक्रिया न यस्येह कुतश्चित् कर्हिचित् प्रभो स एष भगवान् कालः सर्वेषां न समागतः प्रतिक्रिया न यस्येह कुतश्चित् कर्हिचित् प्रभो स एष भगवान् कालः सर्वेषां न समागतः प्रतिक्रिया न यस्येह कुतश्चित् कर्हिचित् प्रभो सर्वेषां न कालः सर्वेषां न समागतः प्रतिक्रिया न यस्येह कुतश्चित् कर्हिचित् प्रभो स एष भगवान् कालः सर्वेषां न समागतः प्रतिक्रिया न यस्येह कुतश्चित् कर्हिचित् प्रभो स एष भगवान् कालः सर्वेषां न समागतः प्रतिक्रिया remedial measure na there is none yasya of which iha in this material world kutaschit by any means karhichit or by anyone prabho o my lord sah that eshah positively Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Kalah, eternal time. Sarvesham, of all. Naha, of us. Samagataha, arrived. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda ki. This frightful situation cannot be remedied by any person in this world. My Lord, it is the Supreme Personality of Godhead as eternal time, Kala, that has approached us all. Purport. There is no superior power which can check the cruel hands of death. No one wants to die, however acute the source of bodily suffering may be. Even in the days of so-called scientific advancement of knowledge, there is no remedial measure either for old age or for death. Old age is the notice of arrival of death served by the cruel time, and no one can refuse to accept their summon calls or the supreme judgment of eternal time. This is explained before Dhritarashtra because he might ask Vidura to find out some remedial measure for the imminent fearful situation, as he has ordered many times before. Before ordering, however, Vidura informed Dhritarashtra that there was no remedial measure by anyone or from any source in this material world. And because there is no such thing in the material world, death is identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as it is said by the Lord Himself in the Bhagavad Gita. Death cannot be checked by anyone or from any source within this material world. Hiranyakashipu wanted to be immortal and underwent a severe type of penance by which the whole universe trembled. And Brahma himself approached him to dissuade Hiranyakashipu from such a severe type of penance. Hiranyakashipu asked Brahma to award him the blessings of immortality, but Brahma said that he himself was subject to death. Even in the topmost planet, so how could he award him the benediction of immortality? So there is a death even in the topmost planet of this universe. What to speak of other planets which are far, far inferior in quality to Brahmaloka, the residing planet of Brahma. Wherever there is influence of eternal time, there is this set of tribulations, namely birth, disease, old age, and death, and all of them are invincible. मज्ञानातिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रेय कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी भानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to the Saturday morning IVF class, is what I was told. So every Saturday morning IVF class. So today's discussion is going to be on the first canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So this particular chapter is basically on Dhritarashtra quits home. So if you see in Ramayana, there is a personality called as Vidura. Sorry, Vibhishan. In Mahabharata, we have Vidura. So in both cases, there was an elder brother who apparently was on the side of Adharma. So who was the brother of Vibhishan who was on the Adharma side? Ravana. And here, Dhritarashtra. So what does Vibhishan do? He quits Ravan. He tries to explain as much as possible, but at some point, Ravan becomes very angry and he kicks. He actually keeps his kirit, the crown, on his feet, saying that, I beg you that please return Sita back, otherwise our entire dynasty will be wiped out. But Ravan becomes very angry and he kicks away that. So then Vibhishan comes and takes shelter of Ram. So Ramayana is very simple. Good people are on the good side, bad people are on the bad side. If good people are on the bad side, they switch sides. But Mahabharata is a little more complicated. Right? Here, in the good side, there are bad people, apparently bad people. Like, say, for example, demons like Daityas and Danavas are considered non-good people. So here we have Ghatotkacha on Pandava side. And on the Kaurava side, we have Acharyas, Kripacharya, Dronacharya, and so Bhishma is there, isn't it? So here, Vidura also could have been a part of it, but Krishna had some other plans. So Vidura was Yamaraj in the Yamaloka. And because of some arrangement, he was cursed to come down to planet Earth. Basically, it was a vacation. Because Yamaraj is having a thankless task. Like that is the reason he's called Mahajan. He is a person who doesn't like to hurt others. But his job is to cause pain for others so that they can learn their lesson and go back to God. And only such souls are given, like in one of our temples in Mumbai. So there is a principle that all, especially the temple residents, are supposed to come before Mangalarti starts, before the conch shell blows. If you are late, then as a transcendental punishment, you're not beaten. And you're temple resident, so you don't have any, you are not going for a job, so you cannot put fine 50 rupees. There are some bases in India, like in Bangalore also, where there was fine. Half an hour late, 50 rupees. 1 hour late, 100 rupees fine if you miss morning program. But these are brahmacharis, so they don't have job. So their transcendental punishment was writing Hare Krishna Mahamantra 108 times. Student, I don't know, is there any principle like that here in base? How much here? 27 times. He's the in charge, morning program in charge. So there was one devotee. So what would happen is, it's a temple hall, huge temple hall like this. So whenever devotees would come late, and one devotee would keep track who's coming late. And then that devotee's responsibility to give them sheet of paper and pen to write. So this devotee, with the kind of his body language was so happy while giving them sheets of paper. He was taking so much joy in giving them punishment papers that the temple president called and said, I think, Prabhu, it's not good for you if you do this service. Our consciousness is not right. We are enjoying when others are suffering. But that was not the position of Yamaraj. He was actually having difficult time tolerating the yelling and screaming of the souls in the hell when they were being punished. So Krishna gave him a vacation as Vidura. As Vidura, he comes down, and after coming here, where is he born? In Kaurava family, isn't it? He didn't go with the Pandavas, so he was constantly with politics. The Duryodhan, these four are called Chatushpati. Duryodhan, Dushasan, Shakuni, and Karna. These four are constantly plotting things, and the main head of the nominal head was Dhritarashtra, and he was not doing anything. And here Vidura was again and again trying to convince him, please do, please do, please do. But one fine day, when Krishna was supposed to come as peace messenger, Duryodhan made a plan. Plan A: we will give the best palace that we have for Krishna. So Dushasana's was the best palace. So he gave him that. He told Dushasana, you please move to some other place. Krishna will stay there. And Chappan Bhog. And then we will try to somehow convince him to join our side. If plan A fails, then plan B. If Krishna doesn't agree, then arrest him. Hearing this plan, Vidura protests. He becomes very angry and he tells Dhritarashtra, and I told you the day he was born, he's going to be cause of destruction of this society, our own dynasty. So better kick him off at least now. But Dhritarashtra is silent. But Duryodhan becomes angry. He says, who told this son of a kept maid servant to speak? He's his uncle, basically. He becomes very harsh words he speaks and says, throw him out of this palace and leave him only with his breath, which means nothing. Vidura himself says, no, thank you. You don't have to throw me out. He takes his bow, keeps it on tilting on the wall, saying that I'm not interested in fighting. And he walks away. And he doesn't go to Pandava's side. And he doesn't go to Krishna also, although he's a devotee. And Krishna is there at that time. He doesn't go to Krishna thinking that staying in this bad Asat Sabha, bad association, I'm so contaminated. Let me purify myself first, then I will go to Krishna. Right? That is his plan. That's the reason he goes for pilgrimage. But the question comes, why doesn't he join the Pandava side like Vibhishan did with Ravan? He could have joined, no. Join on the other side. Happily fight the war. And take revenge also. All these years they've been tortured him for 40, 50 years, 60, whatever number of years he lived. Why did not Vibhishan go and join the, Vidura go and join the Pandava side? The reason was, in case of Vibhishan, it was convinced that Ravan is like Vinashakale Viparita Buddhi. He has crossed that stage. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंस संगस्तेषु उपजायते संगात् संजायते काम कामात् क्रोधो विजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रमः स्मृति विभ्रमः बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. So he is cited as an example in Bihar, UP. If you go, they have this phrase. They say, जब काल मनुष्य पे आता है तो विवेक मर जाता है. So this is the classic example. So he thought इसका तो गया, is over, it's done now. Only detail on how he killed, defeated, and everything. But in case of Kauravas, he knew Duryodhana is like that, Dushasana is like that, but Dhritarashtra is not like that. So Dushasana and Duryodhana and other Kauravas were wicked, but Dhritarashtra was weak. So he could not say no to his son. So this is the difference between affection and attachment. In both cases, you don't feel like saying no. Right? If you feel like saying no to someone, that means you have love for that person. If you can't say no to that person, that means you have attachment. You should be able to say no. See, feeling painful to say no to someone, like a small child comes and says, I want some toy or some chocolate and everything. No parent want to say no. It's hurtful. It's painful. But if parent says, I can't say no to you, and you pamper the child, then that will be difficult for a child in the future. So here, Dhritarashtra could not say no. So Vidura thought, if I join the Pandavas side, and if Pandavas definitely will be responsible for killing all the Kauravas, then Dhritarashtra will never listen to me. He will always see me as murderer of his children. That's why let me not stay here. Let me go for pilgrimage. And he had another purpose also. Let me go to pilgrimage and then take darshan of Krishna. Then finally he comes back after the whole Kurukshetra battle is over. And after that also, Dhritarashtra is still the king. Because Yudhishthira wanted to keep him, like he is his uncle, and he wanted to keep him there. And after that, now Vidura is coming back. And this whole chapter is very powerful, strong words is used by Vidura. So many times devotees say, Prabhuji, should we chastise devotees or not? Right. So, and many times, at least in the society where we are living, we have to be very sensitive, because little bit we raise our voice, or, for us it may be normal. Like suppose someone comes from a village background. In villages, it's normal to speak loudly, and but in village, city, if someone uses such tones, then people may get offended. So should we chastise someone or not? The answer is neither yes nor neither no. The answer depends upon one simple question. What is the relationship with that person? If your relationship is very strong with that person, even if you chastise that person, he will take it as he is my well-wisher and he wants my own good. So that means I have to rectify. If you don't have a relationship with someone and if you chastise that person, then that person will go away. He'll become extremely hurt. So here Vidura had decades of investment in Dhritarashtra. So when finally he became angry and now he was a sannyasi also. Dhritarashtra was still Agrahastha. So when he became angry and gave strong words, then he was able to take it in a positive way. And after that, he goes back to, got it? So for yes or got it or not, for that you should attend for future classes. This is going in sequence, right? Like tomorrow is 14:50. Yeah. Does Dhritarashtra go back to God or not? That we have to see. Definitely is liberated. Got it or not? That you have to find out in the future classes, or you can read Bhagavatam. Those who read, what happens to Dhritarashtra. So today's discussion is a very uncomfortable discussion. This discussion is about death. Right? And most people are not comfortable discussing about it. I know one of our voice, like when I was in Peset Voice, we had one devotee staying, and he was from Odisha, and he was very happy-go-lucky devotee. Very happy and no tension in Prabhuji. Hey, come for morning program, chanting, everything he does. But very jolly. And he had come for, his father has some rope business. And he came for to engineering college. He's the only first person in his whole village to get engineering. He came just for engineering. After that, he's going to go back and continue his father's business. So he never was in tension about placement or passing, or just pass me if he gets, he's more than happy. So he was staying in Voice, very sincere soul. One day we had one of our senior devotees had come. And after the class, Prabhuji raised his hand and asked question. Prabhuji, we get up in the morning at 4 o'clock. We have bath and we chant Hare Krishna, 16 rounds, 2 hours. We chant and then we play Prabhupada. A little Mangalarti we do, half an hour. And then we play Prabhupada lecture. And when Prabhupada lecture, we play Prabhupada says, birth, old age, disease, death. Death is unavoidable. Ultimately, everyone is going to die. So, Prabhuji, early morning when we hear about death, our whole mood gets spoilt. Our whole day, it's very difficult to be enthusiastic and be positive. Right. So many people find it difficult to, especially if you don't have answer, if there is no solution. Generally, this is the first thing we learn in our Discover Yourself. Even before chanting, we discuss about this 4 problems of life: birth, old age, disease, death. So my mentor had told birth means B, O, old age, D, disease, and last D is Y, Yamaraj. So body. That is a short form of remembering birth, old age, disease, death. So generally, if you see, there are 2 understanding of death. One common understanding, biological understanding. Our Abhay Prabhu left for, I think, his office. Otherwise, I would have asked him, what is the biological definition of death? When clinically, people say clinically dead, or some people say brain dead, isn't it? When the functioning of the body stops, when the body doesn't, and different perspective you can see, heart stops pumping blood, or brain waves it flat, like ECG, that's what they call it, EEG or whatever. It goes flat, a person is dead. That is a atheistic understanding. I won't say it is wrong. Definitely it is true. Because even when people, the EEG becomes flat, you can give them shock and bring them back to life. But it is not the complete fact. Right? So today we will see what are the different type of people. See, death is a fact for everyone, regardless of you're a devotee, non-devotee, you're from India or you're abroad, you're a human species, non-human species. Every species, anything that has taken birth will die. Where is this statement given? Anyone who has taken, yes, bro? There is specific verse in that section only. Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityu, dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Anything that has taken birth will die. Right? That principle has been mentioned very clearly. So death is common for all. Like I remember 2013, I was in engineering second year, and one of my friends, benchmates, he went to California for some competition, car building competition. And he came back after 1 month, vacation he had gone, he came back, and then he was showing me photos, what all he had seen there. Now, I have never crossed Indian borders. Within India, a lot of we have done, traveling Mayapur, Pune, etc. But outside India, never. So this is the first time someone who went there is showing me his realizations, what all he has seen there and everything. So a lot of photos. He went to Disneyland and Universal Studio, and then the streets and everything. He was showing me photo after photo after photo. And I was just 2 years into Krishna consciousness, second, third year into Krishna consciousness. So I was seeing photos. Of course, I had seen movies and everything before, but this is someone going there and taking photo. I was thinking, like, oh, how do we know that this is also made by Krishna? India, though, it's very easy. Everyone, even atheist name is Krishna. We'll come to that. Atheistic people, they are having spiritual names. Any road, Dwarka Nagar, Srinivas Nilaya, these are the names of the places in India. It's unavoidable to be Krishna conscious in India. But I was thinking, what about places like this, which he's showing me photos of? Right. So yes, that time after I was thinking for a couple of weeks, and then finally I was hearing proper lecture. That time in one lecture it said that those places where we don't want to accept Krishna directly, Krishna is present in the form of birth, old age, disease, and death. So all the people in the photos, first of all, very less people were there. I think population is very low in that part of the world. So wherever those people are, like even for that matter in India also, whether you accept Krishna or not, whether you are a good person or not, birth, old age, disease, death is common for everyone, especially death. Now, how different people perceive death? We will discuss about that now from multiple perspectives at different stages. First is, say, for example, atheists, right? Those who don't believe in God. So for them, this is a definition of death. At death, everything is finished. That is one category of people who say biologically a person is dead. And we just came, we are formed of chemicals, and then at death, everything is over. Now, unfortunately, now within this, there are 2 categories: those who are within Vedic culture and those who are outside Vedic culture. Why the difference? More or less they're same, a slight difference is there. So those are outside Vedic culture. They are like very clear that after death, everything is finished. The difference between Indian atheists and, Achha, is it possible to be atheist in Vedic culture? Because Vedic culture means spiritual, no? Is it possible? Anyone atheist, can you tell me the name? Buddha, but he's not in Vedic culture. He said Vedic culture is to be rejected. Within Vedic culture, there is one atheist, Charvaka Muni. He has given a shloka also. What is the goal of life? Pradam kritva agrutam pibet yavad jivat sukam jive. Basmi bhutasya desa kuta punaragamo bhavet. As long as you're alive, beg, borrow, steal, but eat ghee. Because who knows? Tomorrow you may be alive, may not be alive, isn't it? So just because something is Sanskrit doesn't mean it is spiritual. Right? Because when Buddhism took over, see, Buddhism is a rebel child of Vedas, Vedic scriptures. They didn't want to follow Vedas. And they wanted to write texts criticizing Vedas. That's why a huge amount of Vedic, the Buddhist literature are in Sanskrit, criticizing Vedas. Right. So many times people say that there are some people who try to convert people into their specific religion. They say that your Lord Ram and Lord Krishna, they were actually kings. And all the Bhagavatam and Ramayana you see, that was actually paid by these kings to the poets and everything to write their glories. But our God, he was a fisherman, right? And he made such a huge society now, all over the world, our religion is followed. So, and all of you are common people, so you should also follow our religion. You give up this, fake religion. But then, frankly speaking, if Lord Ram and Lord Krishna paid and wrote Krishna Lila and Ram Lila, then why will they include those pastimes which are questionable? Ram can conveniently remove, yeah, actually I fought face to face with Vali and finished him. Write that in the Ramayana. Why should he allow writing from behind it? Because people will question the character of Ram. You remove that Agni Pariksha for Sita. I trusted her. No, that is also mentioned. Krishna, the long list is there. What all he did. People have a lot of problem with him. Right? The way Karna was killed, Rasa Leela, and this and that and everything. Right? So the very fact that rather than we proving from Vedic scriptures how Lord Ram and Krishna are Supreme Lord, the very fact that those who were against Vedic scriptures, that is Buddhists, they have written a lot of literature criticizing this. And they also mention in that these pastimes and everything. So that's a proof. So yeah, there can be possible that there may be within Vedic culture, there can be an atheist. So in both cases, like atheistic people who are like materialistic, don't have faith in God, how do they face death? By not facing death. They don't want to talk about death. That is the reason, like if you see in India, life insurance policies which we take, generally it is not said in the form of life insurance policy. It is sold in the form of investment. People come to you. Imagine Saturday morning, you had 2 days, 5 week you slogged in the office. Peacefully you are coming in the morning, 8 o'clock, someone bangs on the door, LIC agent is there. Nowadays everything happens on phone and email, but suppose someone is there, salesman, he has come, and he says, sir, मान लीजिए आप मर गए कल. So what is? So people don't want to hear all that. They get extremely disturbed, isn't it? So that's why they sell it in the form of investment. Every month you this much, and then after 10 years you'll get this much back. And added benefit in stock market you'll not get, you'll get it in this life insurance policy. In case, God forbid, something happens to you, your family will get a backup. Right? Why? Because people don't want to talk about death. There was one person who was staying in his village. From there, he got a job opportunity abroad. So he went. And these are the times when there was no phone also, only letter. So his friend wrote a letter to him, the one who's abroad. He said that actually your cat fell from the terrace yesterday and died. So that person wrote back saying that don't you have sensitivity? That directly you tell about death like that. Slowly you explain. First you write a letter saying that your cat is doing well. Sometimes it is roaming on the terrace. Then 2 weeks later, one more letter you write saying that it is spending a lot of time on terrace and it is sleeping also. Then 2 weeks later, again you write one more letter saying that your cat slipped and fell. But nothing to worry, it's in hospital, we have taken care of it. And then 2 weeks later, you have to tell that the cat has unfortunately died. Like this should explain. Then he said fine. Then he writes one more letter and he said that guy's opening statement is, your mother is fine, sometimes she's moving on the terrace. Right? People don't want to talk and even face because there is no solution for it. Right? So in this category, this kind of situation, what happens? People feel life is like an ice cream. Finish it before it melts. Right. So that is the understanding of a atheistic perspective towards death. Prabhupada was asked this question. Swamiji, you are doing so much Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. At the time of death, suddenly you realize there is no God. Then what you will do? Prabhupada said, let us assume for argument's sake, there is no God. Still, by following 4 regulative principles, I will lead a peaceful life, happy life. Random strangers I met and I fed them prasad, had some nice relationship with them. Right? And because I'm not smoking, drinking, my health was better. Because I didn't have illicit sex, no diseases, like sexually transmitted diseases. Because I'm not eating non-veg, I've not caused harm to others. Right? In every perspective, whatever you see, I've only done good. I lived a very happy life. And we do kirtan. And our feast is so uncomparable. So even if, let's assume there is no Krishna, Krishna conscious lifestyle is happily worth living. Then Prabhupada asked that person, now you tell me, you have not followed any of these principles. You have done whatever you want to do. And at the time of that, you realize, oh, Krishna exists, God exists. Now what will you do? Isn't it? So this is the challenge with the atheistic perspective. Now within atheists, so these were atheistic but foolish. They don't want to acknowledge that there is a problem. Then there are those who are atheists, but they're intelligent atheists. They understand that yes, birth, old age, disease, especially death is a problem. Now, intelligent atheists are of two types. One are those who are hopeless. There are those who have done philosophical analysis without spirituality, and they have come to conclusion that everything is ultimately temporary, nothing has meaning. Like there was one Immanuel Kant, there is one philosopher in Germany, in Europe. His statement, these are his statements. He says, after analyzing the whole world around me, I understood that life is filled with problems. And the solution for the problems eventually become bigger problem. And amazing thing is, that's exactly what Prahlad Maharaj says in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Dukkha aushadam tadapi dukkham. The solution for a problem becomes a bigger problem. And after analyzing all of this, the only question we need to answer is whether to commit suicide today or tomorrow. Because anyway, their life is miserable. Isn't it? There is one more philosopher like that. He used to say that whenever I climb above third floor and I see a window, I have with great restraint, I need to control myself not to jump from the window. Right. So these are people who are intelligent. They're not foolish people who are just like doesn't want to talk about death. They want to address the concept of death, but they don't have the solution. This is the intelligent atheists, but hopeless. Then comes intelligent atheists who are hopeful. These are the people who feel using science and technology, we will try to avoid death. Right. There is one Brian Johnson, if I'm not wrong, that's his name. He's a billionaire in US. And he has invested a lot of money, and I think he spends about 10 million every year to de-age his body. I think he's, I don't know, 60 years old or something, but his skin is very glossy. It's visible. And if you go to comment section, whenever he go for like he posts videos on YouTube or on Instagram, you should go in the comment section. There you'll see the stark contrast. So he basically takes 40 medicines every day. And the last meal of his day is at 11 o'clock in the morning. After that, no eating. Because the more we eat, the more the process of digestion, we call digestion, chemically it is called deoxidization. The more body oxidizes stuff, the more it becomes older. Cells die faster. So his idea is, if we can stop the aging process, we can remain alive forever. He had come to India actually. He was sitting in Mumbai to give some podcast. Podcast just started and his eyes started watering. He said, "No, I can't continue this podcast. The weather is very bad here. EQI, whatever index is very poor," and he stopped the thing in between and went back to US. I was thinking the biggest irony will be, see, natural death is not the only way people die, right? Imagine after doing so much, Tandavi dies of a car crash or plane crash. That will be the greatest irony of his life. So that is another case where somehow through science and technology, and they are not to be blamed. See, if you see the most of the things which we do today, 50 years back it was unheard of, and 100 years back it was unimaginable to stay in two different parts of the world and talk, video talk, isn't it? Like recently someone has shared me a video. That person is actually charging, like the doorbell is there. The doorbell is actually charged with battery, and he's charging that battery with the USB cable coming out of his pillow. So the statement is, I'm charging my doorbell using my pillow. Imagine explaining this to a guy in 1970s. It will be unimaginable what we're living. So in the last 300 years, ever since the steam engine was discovered, From there till now, tremendous progress has happened in the field of science. So many of the problems were solved, no doubt about it. For example, even the average lifespan, just 100, 200 years back, the average lifespan was about 30, 40 years. People would not live longer than that. So much diseases and everything. Now lifespan has increased globally. We are able to eradicate diseases. Like polio is wiped out across the globe because of the focus of science and technology. So when we are solving one problem, second problem, third problem, fourth problem, then naturally there is a hope that what's the biggest problem? So hopefully one fine day we'll solve that also. Right? And they're not wrong in doing such assumption, but then Vedic scriptures are saying some problem cannot be solved at a material level. Right. So if you see, according to Darwinian evolution, when was the first human being born? How many years back? First Homo erectus happened in 40,000 years back. So show me one human being who's 40,000 years old. 4,000 years old. 400 years old. A great world record is, I think, 112, 113 years old, isn't it? So naturally, when we see, it's very difficult to overcome death. So this is with respect to intelligent, hopeful atheists. Now let us come within the purview of religion. So even within religion, there are two categories: Abrahamic religion and Dharmic religion. Abrahamic religion, basically Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. And Dharmic religion is basically Sanatan Dharma within the frame of India, mostly what is said. So in Abrahamic religions, the concept of death is there for everyone. In Abrahamic religion, they believe in God, but they don't believe in reincarnation. There is no concept that in the next life again we will be born again. In this, so their idea is once you die, depending upon your active actions in this life, either you go permanently to hell or permanently to heaven. So, but that leads to a lot of questions, unanswered questions. Like for example, one of our devotees was traveling in train, and one of the people belonging to that Abrahamic Christian, he was sitting beside him, and that person asked our devotee, "Why do you people spread paganism? Paganism means idol worship, according to them. They don't see it as deities, they see it as idol. Why do you people mislead people by spreading paganism?" He started. Our Prabhu was silently reading Bhagavad Gita. Then see, you किसी के छेड़ो तो हम छोड़ेंगे भी नहीं. So then our Prabhu asked, okay, what happens at death in your religion? He said, at death, judgment day is what they call it. So there will be a judgment. We'll be burying dead people. At judgment day, all the dead people come back to life. And depending upon their good or bad activities, either they believed in Jesus or not activities, whether they believed in Jesus or not, they'll be taken to hell or they'll be taken to heaven. Okay. Then next question, our Prabhuji asked. He said that, okay, suppose a person is 90 years of age. Now, judgment, he is buried now. Judgment day comes. Now, they'll come back to the form. Which form they'll come back? Because if a person is taken back, if a person gets a body of 90-year-old, and for eternity he has to stay in heaven at 90-year-old body, it will be torture. Because 90-year-old body is not healthy enough to enjoy. Then he said, no, actually, because he has had a body of 25, 26 years old, whatever was youthful body, that will be given and he'll be taken to heaven. Then one more question. Suppose someone died at the age of 5. He never saw 25. What body he will get? Isn't it? Again, there was no answer for that. And suppose someone died in the womb. He had no body, only physical body outside. Someone died in the womb. Then where he'll go? Heaven or hell? Because he never got an opportunity to choose. I believe in Jesus or I don't believe in Jesus. He said actually because children are innocent. And suppose child dies in the womb, then Jesus takes him to heaven. And that brings to a very important question. Isn't it better to kill children in the womb itself? Because if he comes outside, there is 50-50 chance. He'll choose Jesus or he'll not choose Jesus. And then he'll be taken to hell. Better kill children in the womb itself. And abortion is not something acceptable within Christian tradition. Right? So like that, a lot of questions come. Because of which it will be very difficult for a person to hold that faith in that religion. Right? And that's the reason, like many of the churches in European countries have now become, some have become gym, some have become nightclubs. Because people are not coming, they are not able to maintain, they sold that church, and now that whoever bought that church is running their own business there. Now, finally coming within the Sanatana Dharma. So within Sanatana Dharma, if you see generally, even the reason why I said Vedic atheist and non-Vedic atheist is the difference is in culture. Even if a person is atheist, doesn't believe in God, like, but he is within the Vedic culture, it is very difficult for him not to make at least little bit advancement in spiritual life. His name will be Krishna, Murli, and Venugopal, such things. Where is he staying? Dwarka Nagar. Srinivas Nila is the name of the apartment he's staying in. So some holy name somewhere falls. Even if, like in India also, if you see, there is Balaji wine shop, Ganesh BD. These are the names. Even sinful things you want to do, there will be, and it's very difficult to avoid, spiritual things within the holy land of. That's why it's called Dharma Kshetra. The entire India is called as Dharma Bhumi. Now, within that, those who are believing in God, those who are theistic, like they go to demigod temple or something like that, there again the idea is very vague. Because, okay, there they accept the concept of soul, but the distinction is not very clear. What actually happens at death? Atma is there, soul is there. They discuss it, but then for all practical purposes, it's like being atheistic only. Then comes Mayavadis. Their understanding is soul is there, definitely soul is there. God is there, definitely God is there. But both soul and God are part of Brahman. And after death, this small Brahman will go and join Parabrahman and we become God. This is the understanding of the Mayavadis about death. And finally, that comes us to the Vaishnavas. So Vaishnavas are very clear that there is soul who is eternally related to Bhagavan. And within Bhagavan also, the understanding of Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan is very clear. So Bhagavan is the one with 6 opulences, and from him only comes Paramatma and Brahman. After death, the soul merges in whom? Brahman, Paramatma or Bhagavan, according to Vaishnavas. It never merges. Right? So the soul eternally remains a servant of the Lord. The Lord also remains. The interaction between the soul and the Lord is Bhakti. So Bhakti, Bhagavan and Bhakta, all three are eternally residing. This is the understanding. And Vaishnavas, we believe the concept, we understand that there is a concept of reincarnation. There is a concept of karma also. And can the soul, once the soul comes to the human form of life, is it possible for the soul to go back to animal species? Yes, it is definitely possible. Depending on whom? Depending upon the actions of that person itself. Right. So this whole clarity is given within the Sanatana Dharma. Now the question still remains. Okay, this is how different people see death. But of all these categories, common feeling is fear of death. Why? Why is there fear for death? If death is natural for everyone, why should there be fear? Yes. Why there is pain? So just like we have coconut, Radheshyam Prabhu gives this example. If there is a coconut, wet coconut, like just you removed from the tree, if you break that coconut, you'll see the white flesh. And there is a hard shell covering. So the flesh is strongly attached to that hard shell. And it's very difficult to remove it also. But the same coconut, you dry it under hot sun for 2 days. All the water is absorbed, and then you can literally hear the inner shell disconnected. So as long as the soul is connected to the body, regardless of which religion we are following, regardless we are atheistic or non-atheistic, regardless we are in India or abroad, regardless of whether in human species or animal species, death will be painful because we are identifying with the body, right? And so now, since we are devotees, how many of us can say we have no death fear of death? You all have. Why? The whole mathematics that you said, in that we are in the best category, we accept everything and everything, but now why fear of death? Yes, Prabhu? Yes. Even after becoming devotees. Yes. So just because of changing clothes or wearing kantimala tilak, it is not enough. Like there is one devotee, he was a rowdy actually. Like this is in Sri Vaishnava Pasampradaya story comes. He was a rowdy. And it's like a typical South Indian movie story, but devotional. So he was a rowdy, and then he falls in love with a girl who goes to temple every day. And then he wants to marry her. Right. And he goes and proposes to her. I want to marry you. She says, marry you, look at you. You know, what kind of clothes you're wearing, full dadi, and you keep beating up people. Right. So I want to marry some devotee, Vaishnava. Then he says, oh, that's it. he goes back to his home and he orders dhoti kurta. He learns how to wear dhoti kurta, clean shave he does, with wears tilak, and comes in and says, "See, I'm now devotee. You can marry me now." She says, devotee doesn't mean just you wear clothes of a devotee. Devotee is one who serves other devotees. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Bhagavan ki, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki, और Nitai ki. Then he starts serving the devotees. So prasadam serving he starts doing. So he keeps doing so much and he gets higher taste in doing the service. And now she's interested in marrying him. He says, I'm not interested in marrying you anymore. I want to continue serving devotees. I'll join the temple and then continue serving here. So just by changing clothes, by affiliating ourselves with ISKCON temple, doesn't mean that our heart gets equally like fully, our bodily consciousness goes away. There was one in Vrindavan. Like generally, when we build temples, people want to donate. Sometimes people donate Lakshmi. Sometimes people donate Lakshmi for specific cause, like for this marble, for this altar. So one person wanted to donate for fan in temple, but then he had a condition: the fan should have his name who donated, right? So that was done. Okay, fine. It's okay, not a problem. We did that. But then when normal classes were going on, or when we were using the fan, when that person would come, or his children would come, they would say, hey, fan off karo. Because when fan is moving, you cannot see the name, no? So they had to. The purpose of fan is not served because you want your name on it. So because the bodily attachment is so strong, even after coming to Krishna consciousness, depending upon which stage of bhakti we are in, we will be either scared of death or unafraid of death. That is why even after coming to devotional service, depending upon our individual practice of devotional service, it decides whether death will be painful for us or not. Prabhupada gives an example. How is death for a devotee and a non-devotee? Yes, Prabhu. I thought you were raising hand. So just like a cat, he catches a rat. So is the rat afraid of cat? Yes, because it is death personified. The same cat with the same mouth holds a kitten. And the kitten is extremely bindas, tension free, isn't it? So that is the difference. So all the category that we discussed so far, as long as there is no love for Krishna, at least if not love for Krishna is a big thing. At least as long as there is bodily consciousness, I and mine, aham amiti, up to that point there will be fear of death. The moment that boundary is crossed, then there is absolutely no fear of death. And it is not necessary that a person should become Krishna conscious to be fearless of death. Like we have example of Socrates. Prabhupada, right? Socrates he was like in BCs before Christ, many years back, and he was actually preaching detachment, topics of detachment about soul and everything. And the administration at that time was atheistic. They didn't want someone like this speaking these kind of things. Like he was known for detachment. Like once he was married actually, and he wanted to live a simple life, and his wife was always very angry with him. So, but he would have a lot of discussion with his philosophical friends. So once 3 of his friends came to his home and said, let's have discussion. They were having discussion, but then his wife was yelling and screaming at him. Whole day you sit and discuss. Don't go for job, don't do for work also. And here we are having difficulty in home and this and that. And she was yelling and screaming. And he could see his friends were becoming a little disturbed. He told, guys, let's go to a park nearby and there we'll continue our discussion. So then they got up, they were going out. He was wearing his footwear outside the house. Suddenly, huge amount of water fell on Socrates' head. The whole body was drenched. He saw above. His wife from above put on bucket of water on his head from the first floor. And his friends were now scared. Will Socrates lose his cool, yell out domestic violence, he'll go and beat his wife. Socrates was super cool. He said, guys, few minutes back it was thundering, now it is raining. Right? So Socrates was such a very cool-headed person. And he was such a cool person and he was speaking so much. There was one more instance where he was standing outside one big market was there. And he used to always say, don't buy things which are not required. Don't buy things which are not required. So one day he was just standing in the market and one friend came and said, oh, Socrates, you also come now for shopping. Big things you are speaking. Don't buy detachment, this, that. He said, I have not come here to buy. I just come here to see how people are buying things which they don't need. To impress people which they don't like. With the money which they don't have. Through credit, buying loan and everything. So when he was being taken to a prison and he was sentenced to death. So they poisoned him actually. So when then the guards told him, tomorrow we are going to kill you. So what did Socrates say? Before you kill me, you need to catch me. Before you catch me, you need to see me. right? So basically, he was on a spiritual platform, self-realized platform. But there is no instance of him chanting Hare Krishna or doing bhakti for Lord or something. So even if a person reaches the stage of self-realization, a Brahman platform, I am not this body, I am spirit soul. Even in that platform, there will be no fear of death. Then what to speak if someone has crossed that platform? So now we as devotees who are like just begun our spiritual practices, doing from last maybe few years or couple of decades, in our case, still we might not have reached that platform of fearlessness from death. But every day we are chanting, like one devotee asked, I think it is mentioned in one of the commentaries, what if, like, okay, what is our principle of death? For us, reincarnation is there. So death is not destination. It is just a station. One death, then another body, then that goes on. And what is the main principle at death which decides our next body, according to Bhagavad Gita? Antakalecha, yam yam vapi smaran mavam jadantante kalevaram. Whatever a person thinks at the time of death, that's what he gets that's the body which he gets in the next life. So one devotee was asked this question. One devotee was giving class in one IIT. All boys were sitting. He said, so tell me one favorite character of yours from Bhagavatam. One devotee said Bali Maharaj, another devotee said Parishit Maharaj, another devotee said Gajendra, one devotee said Ajamila. He said, for all the characters in Bhagavatam, Ajamila is what you are interested in. How why? He said, Ajamila was very smart. He enjoyed his life also and then went back to Godhead also. Right. So, there if you see, Ajamila's case, it was not a planned way of going back to Godhead. It was just by accident, by devotee's mercy, he named his son as Narayana, and because of that, things went well. So people may say sometimes, okay, Antakale Chamame, right? At the time of death, I have to remember God. No problem. I'll enjoy life, whatever I want, I will do. Once I've reached the stage 55, 60, where I know my body is weak, now I'm going to die, I'll take a gun, Hare Krishna, and shoot myself. Oh, done na. Problem solved. Right. Antakale Chamameva Smaran Muktva Kalevaram. The remembrance has to come from inside. So, right, Prabhupada writes in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita that if a person has to remember God the time of death, if a person has remembered God in the struggle for existence, then he will be able to remember the time of death also. So that is the main principle. So on a daily basis, when we are chanting Hare Krishna, on a daily basis, once, see, in the early stages of spiritual life, our whole focus, people many times ask, how many rounds should I chant? Like when I'm chanting one round, should I make it 2, 4, 8, 16? The main focus is right now to make chanting the part of our life. Which means that no matter what happens, this many rounds, non-negotiable. Below that, even if it is at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, suddenly I realize whole day was jam-packed. Like Janmashtami, for example. We are fasting also whole day. And then we have services also. Right? When do we chant? Somehow still we manage time. Pandu Nirjalika, that's another challenging time. And we are fasting full without water also. And Pandu Nirjal is even more than Janmashtami. Janmashtami, at least you break fast at 12 o'clock. Pandu Nirjal is next day morning. Isn't it? So I think one Pandu Nirjal Ekadashi was at 10:30 in the morning. So previous night we stopped eating, and then for almost 36 hours we've been fasting, not even drinking water. Right. So where was I? Janmashtami. So when we have on a daily basis in the struggle of existence, we have remembered the holy names. Then at the time of death, we'll be able to remember God. So one devotee was asked this question: what if someone is not able to remember God at death? Which means someone was traveling in a bus, accident ho gaya, mar gaya, pata hi nahi chala. He was in sleep. Some people die in coma, isn't it? Some accident happened, and some people die in sleep itself. Then what will happen? So Ramanujacharya, he mentions that in case you are not able to remember, I think this is mentioned in Kurma Puran. I promise, the Lord is himself telling. In case someone is not able to remember me at the time of death, one who has lived his life remembering me, I remember that person at the time of death. That is the principle. So more than fear of death or going back to Godhead, at a very advanced level, devotee's consciousness is Mama Janmani Janmanishwari, life after life. There is no problem as long as I get the association of devotees and devotional service to practice. So that is our aspiration. Non-negotiable right now is at least make sure that we don't do further bad karma in our life, which will entangle us. Right? At the same time, on a daily basis, we actually chant also, chant the holy names, command all these impressions that we are having in our mind of getting up in the morning, meeting devotees, chanting Hare Krishna. Even if suppose we don't complete, like Arjuna asked this question, Ata Kena Prayunto, no, before that, after that, he asks that you're telling about bhakti and everything. And for practicing bhakti, we have 24 hours at the end of the day. And there is so much opportunities. Either I can do this sense gratification, that sense gratification, this sense gratification, that sense gratification, or bhakti. If I choose bhakti, then I lose all other opportunities for enjoyment at that time at least. So I do so much sacrifice. At the time of death, I don't complete my 100% of bhakti. Then what? Na ghar ka na ghat ka na. Opportunity and that also I lost, and I didn't went back to Godhead also. So then Krishna actually explains that Prapya Punya Kritam Lokan Ushitva Shashvati Sama Suchinam Śrīmatam Gehe Yoga Brashto Bijayate. In case you don't practice bhakti, you give up bhakti because you wanted to take care of family, you thought ki it'll never work together, or because you felt ki bhakti is too much for me, 2 hours or whatever, half an hour chanting Hare Krishna is too much. Some people disqualify themselves in bhakti. One mistake happens, by mistake, one devotee came. He was working actually, he was planning to join Brahmacharya ashram, and he was working for a couple of years. So, and this is in 1990s. So there was a small corporate company, and time to time they should have team dinner. He used to somehow avoid team dinner because he didn't want to eat outside the hotel. Then there would be birthday, and there would be cake cutting and everything. And they would cut the cake and give everyone one piece. And this cake would contain egg, and this devotee is very strict. All of us should be. So what you do? You take that cake, put it in the dustbin. And then the colleagues found out, somebody is throwing the cake in dustbin. Who is this? Then finally they found out this person, this fellow is the one who throws cake in the dustbin. And one more birthday came. One person's birthday, they cut the cake. And he said, okay, thank you, I'll take the cake and eat later. No, now only you have to eat. No, I'm not hungry. I just had breakfast and came. So no, now only. He was finally one person held his hand, another held hand, another person put cake in his mouth. Right. And that afternoon he put a leave and came. He called Radhesham Prabhu. Prabhuji, something important I have to discuss. Prabhuji, life and death situation. So life and death. What happened? What did you do? What? No, Prabhuji, important I have to talk. I'm putting leave and coming. He came all the way to temple. And then Prabhuji took him to one room and closed the room and made him sit. Prabhuji, this is what I broke regulative principle. Now what to do? What will happen to my spiritual life? Right. Then Radhesham Prabhu explained to him. See, it was not that you voluntarily went and did something. Like this circumstance happened like that. Be careful next time and chant some extra rounds. So many times we make some mistakes and we feel we are useless, we are hopeless, and we disqualify ourselves. That also can happen. So steadily going on, the same devotee in the beginning of the session I mentioned, who told early morning Prabhupada says, death, my mood goes down and everything. That same devotee asked in the same class, Prabhuji, someone chants Hare Krishna for 60 years or 40 years or till the age of 60, for example. Will that person go back to Godhead? Right. So the speaker, senior devotee, he was telling that, first of all, chanting 40 years in Kali Yuga in the year 2000, whatever, itself is a huge achievement. Right. Like all of us might have also seen, like when we take to Krishna consciousness, there may be so many other people coming with us, either Gita course or discover yourself or whatever. But then over a period of time, the number becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. It's very difficult to, and we can't blame them also. Distraction is of that level. Like I was giving class in Ramaya voice. So there we were discussing about the 4 regulative principles and then like the 4 good habits, austerity, cleanliness. Next slide, there was meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, intoxication. For each of these 4, there are industries outside to help facilitate you to do these things. For gambling, there is Dream 11, this and that. For illicit sex, Tinder, this and that. So many opportunities are there. Despite that, if someone wants to practice, or someone is wanting to chant, someone is wanting to follow regulative principles and continues that for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, that itself is glorious. Right? So similarly, on our day-to-day basis, we try to stick to our commitment. And challenges will definitely come. We will be tested. Everybody has been tested in spiritual life. Only thing is we take shelter of association of devotees and try to practice Krishna consciousness. Hopefully, by the end of our life, right, we would have gotten enough purified to go back to Godhead. If not, at least to realize that we are not this body, we are spirit, soul. And suppose that also didn't happen. Then Krishna himself says, in case you practiced bhakti for whole life, for whatever reason, you could not complete 100%. Then you will be born in a family of devotees, and then from there you continue. Like in ISKCON also we have so many, like all the children that are born to devotees, they are all Maybe in some other life, some yogis fell down or some devotee couldn't complete his part or something. Now they are born in the devotee families. That is also possible. And from there, we continue the path of Krishna consciousness. So, compared to the hopelessness that happens when we have atheistic understanding, that is not happening here. So, neither we are foolish like the hardcore, like atheistic materialists who doesn't want to talk about death. Neither we are those people who are atheistic and who are intelligent but hopeless. Neither we are atheistic, intelligent, and putting a lot of hopes in science that one day science will reach a stage where we don't have to die anymore. Right. So we are those people on a daily basis will discuss about death, but cheerfully. That is the beauty of Achintya Beda Bhed. How can a person be cheerful while talking about death on a daily basis? That actually can happen only within ISKCON. That every day we discuss about death, but we are happy also in Krishna consciousness. Right. So that is the concept of death. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So I'll just give a summary of the whole discussion. So initially we began what is death. Abhay Prabhu is back. So Prabhu, what is the definition of death according to biology, medical science? Done. That's it. Simple. So that is clinically dead person. Then we discussed how death is universal for everybody, irrespective of from which background, who's the, as long as anyone who's taken birth, death is common. Then we discussed all the different categories. First is atheistic, foolish. Whether within Vedic culture or non-Vedic culture, they don't want to talk about death. Right? Because they don't have the solution for it. Then comes atheistic, intelligent people who does a lot of analysis, but there is no Krishna consciousness or spirituality or God in the picture. They say everything is hopeless. The only question in life to answer is whether to commit suicide today or tomorrow. That is the conclusion. Then we have atheistic, intelligent people who are hopeful on science. One day science will reach a stage where we'll not be able to face death. Then we come into the house of religion, Abrahamic religion and Sanatana Dharma. In Abrahamic religion, there is no concept of reincarnation or karma for that matter. And then a lot of questions we discussed about that. Finally, we come within Sanatana Dharma. Within Sanatana Dharma, there may be people who are like demigod worshippers. Then we have people who are like Mayavadis. And finally, we have Vaishnavas. So Vaishnavas are the one who have no fear of death, correct? Yes? No, within Vaishnavas, what Vaishnava is important? Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, or Uttama. Uttama Adhikari definitely has no fear of death. Kanishta and Madhyama are still progressing in bhakti. So, do you have to become 100% pure Krishna conscious to become free from the fear of death? No. Example? Socrates. Right. He was self-realized. May not be devotional service. Very rare. Like only one example you can remember. There may be some more. Right. But through devotional service, that opportunity is given for all of us. So we may have currently fear of death. Definitely, it's healthy also. One devotee was very senior devotee was telling me recently, Prabhuji, I have no clue, no love for Krishna, but definitely fear of death. So I want to wind up my activities in this life and go back. I don't want to again be born next life and then A for Apple and B for Bluetooth and everything. This life only will finish everything and go back to God. Right. So that is also death is also a motivator for people like who doesn't want to stay in this material world anymore. So what do we have to do? On a daily basis, whatever we are chanting and whatever spiritual impressions we are creating is actually adding up to the point where one fine day, either we become self-realized and after self-realized, realize Krishna, love Krishna. Even in that case, doesn't happen. Mama Janmani Janmanishware, Bhavatat Bhakti Rahita. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Anybody have any questions? Yes, bro. No, there are 5 types of liberation: Sarupya, Sarishti, Samipya, Sayujya, and Salokya. So in that Sayujya, if I'm not wrong, Sayujya is one where you merge the effulgence. So Bhagavatam very clearly says devotees are ready to accept. There also it doesn't say devotees want. Devotees ready to accept the 4, living on the same planet as the Lord, having the same bodily features of the Lord, same opulence of the Lord. So they may even accept it, but 5th one they out reject it. Right? What is that verse? The 4, 5 liberations are mentioned, and then Vinavat Sevanam Jana. There is no seva, then they don't want that liberation. So first is that. So as far as wanting is concerned, devotees don't want any liberation. If we are talking about pure devotees, but if they have to accept, then they would prefer the 4, never the last one. Because in the last one, there is no difference between Bhakta and Bhakti, Bhakta and Bhagavan. Then where is Bhakti then? Right. That is the understanding. Very good.
They merge. Okay, they are not what we are saying. But Shankaracharya is not like Advaita part of the same. You merge. I happened to read who was explaining the ocean. That is the ocean from an ocean. It falls to the floor, lake. Then the lake one, we go and know the ocean again. Then ultimately one, Advaita, point of view. Once you the ocean, like once this rainwater came we see that everything is going to ocean. That is what is planned. The same thing you are explaining, why it is wrong? How can I explain that it is wrong?
Okay. So see, first of all, this debate. See, right now, this discussion is not in the physical realm. First of all, soul is not visible. Forget about soul. Mind is also not visible. But because mind does too much tandav in our life, we can at least all agree that yeah, there is something called as mind ruining our life. But as far as soul is concerned, it is very difficult to see that. Forget about super soul, God, Brahman, and everything. So everything becomes theoretical at this point, right? So, and secondly, we may not want to defeat the people or defeat their argument, but we can definitely offer a counter argument. Like, because it's on a theoretical platform, the only factor that defines who wins is who's more smart. That's it, isn't it? So, Prabhupada gives this example. This example is very famous. What you said, river entering into the ocean. Right? There is a verse also in Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad Gita, where it says, "Yata munedam, yata nadinam bhavambu vega." Just like this example is given in 11th chapter. Two analogies, metaphors are given. One is river entering into the ocean. Second is fly entering into the fire, moth entering into fire. So basically, the context there is just like a river enters into the ocean, it is natural for it to enter. But in the process, wherever the river flows, it helps millions of life forms to get water and plants, vegetation, and everything. That is like Bhishma and Drona. They are souls, they are great souls. They are coming back to Krishna. But at the same time, they are devotees, they're trying to do as much benefit for others. The moth entering into the fire, the moth get destroyed. That is like Duryodhana, Dushasana, and others who are heading towards Krishna and killing themselves. Mayavadis gives this example. This is a proof that when the river merges with the ocean, there is no difference between river and ocean. Everything is one. If you go one step closer, on a gross level, yes. But at a settler level, the water molecules, they never merge. On a microscopic level, Prabhupada gives example. At the atomic level, at a microscopic level, there was some molecules and atoms in the river water. There are some molecules and waters in the ocean water. Even after merging, the molecules remain separate only. Okay, they are now currently in a bigger water body because still their molecules have never merged. Right? Similarly, one more example is there of a bird entering into the tree. When you see a green parrot entering into a green tree, like a lot of leaves, it may look like the parrot has become one with the tree, merged with the tree. But actually, the parrot has gone inside and there is a beautiful nest inside with a lot of other baby parrots and everything. It is having a peaceful life separate from the tree. Similarly, in this case, you can tell the same example, atoms and molecules. The water may enter into it, but the molecules are still separate. And I'm pretty sure he'll come with some other explanation. Then you can give an explanation. So this Vada Vivad is never going to end. So when it is going to end, evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogata bhagavad tattva vijnana mukta sangha sajayate vidyate hridaya gratis chidyate sarva samshaya kshyante chasya karmani drashta evatmanishware. So there are 5 prayers in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam which explain the progression. Shrannotam Sakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Yudhyantastu Ye Badrani Vidunoti Sarat Satam. So first is hearing, begin hearing. That process of hearing itself is a punya activity, spiritual activity. Krishna starts taking Scotch Brite and start cleaning our heart. That is first step. Second, once Abhadrani Nashta Prayasho Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloki Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Slowly, steadily through that, we start developing Naistiki Bhakti. Right now, we have Komal Shraddha. right? So someone says something and suddenly our faith gets shaken. But then through hearing, over a period of time, our Shraddha becomes strong. We will have the capacity to, counter argue and defeat the other person. That is the second stage. And then, Nashtaprayeshva Padrishnitya Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloki Bhakti Tadadastamo Bhavatam Kamalobadayasche Cheta Iteranavitam Tam Satvi Prasiddhati. Then slowly Rajas and Tamas starts decreasing. And then we come to the stage of Sattva. Then Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangha Sajayate. At that Sattva, we attain spiritual knowledge and then continue practicing devotional service. Vidyate Hridaya Granthis, Chidyate Sarva Samshaya. All the knot in the hearts, the conceptions, misconception, all that is clear. Chidyate Sarva Samshaya, all doubts are cleared. Kshiyante Chasya Karmani, Drashta Evatmanishwar. You'll be able to see Lord face to face, like how I am able to see you now. That is the stage when all doubts, everything is crystal clear. Until then, we are just arguing, we are just contemplating stuff. It's a conceptual platform. So rather than, it's good to argue, because then we don't know about convincing him, but we get convinced in the process. I used to do that. One of my colleagues had come to discover yourself with me, one of my classmates, and he would not appreciate many of the points. And we had something to discuss. I would refute him. In the process, I was taking Krishna's. This is the first case where I was taking side of Krishna's side. Although that was never my intention. We want to discuss something. So in the process, we convince ourselves. So it's good to have arguments like that. But if you feel the person is extremely strong in argument and he is very convinced that Mayavad is going to be, then probably rather than discussing about that, we can give him prasadam and discuss something else. Or unless you become strong, you can hold the discussion for some time. Otherwise, many times what happens is we may get in trouble. Our mind may get disturbed. So as far as answering this question is concerned, you can tell about molecules and atoms. And just like water may be mixing, why are you seeing at a gross level? Look at a quantum level. Atoms and molecules are still the same. They are not merging and becoming one. That is the argument. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Yes, Prabhu.
So usually, like many speakers, they say that we have to do this and such a way that next day we might get. So when we actually practically think of it, if we are going to make a next day, we already leave and not do it. So how do we actually make apply the principle in our day-to-day life? So
Okay.
they are serious also, but
So when you say speakers, it is devotee speakers or like outside devotee speakers? So one is you can directly ask them what context they have said. But in our case, see, basically there will be many things which you will be putting the general context in which we say that statement, whether devotees, non-devotees. There are many things which we want to achieve, but we put it on hold. There are many things which we want to do, but we feel ki not now, tomorrow, not now, tomorrow, not now, later. So one of the things to make people very active and very energetic is this concept that people say today is the last day of your life. How will you live today if it was the last day? Unfortunately, if you ask this question to someone who doesn't have Krishna conscious background, then as you said, he'll put a leave and go to pub. He'll do all sorts of things. Like I had watched some movie some time back. In that, the person is told that you have cancer, you will die if you have 2-3 months and everything, and then he goes on a tirade of enjoyment for 3 months. Crazy. And that is a story on its own. As devotees, like the purpose of this is there may be some aspects of our spiritual life where we may be putting on hold. Like even when we read Prabhupada books. So Prabhupada books is law for us, for devotees. Whatever Prabhupada writes state sentence, it can only fall into categories. One is non-negotiable, which means this I have to do definitely, no doubt about it. Another is aspirational. Prabhupada may say some things which may be so exalted that we are not on that platform. We cannot imitate also. But hopefully one fine day we will be there. Like for example, before I came in touch with devotees in 2010. So 2008, 7, 6, if you ask me, 16 rounds. I'll say it is impractical. Then when 2010 I came in touch with devotees, I was chanting 2 rounds, 4 rounds, 6 rounds. Then 16 round became aspirational for me. One day I will chant 16 rounds. Now after 15 years of chanting Hare Krishna or being in the association of devotees, 16 round has become non-negotiable. ये तो करना ही है, कुछ भी हो जाए. Right. So similarly, this balance, many times we don't know. Something we can actually do, but are we still putting it off, saying that it is aspirational, it is aspirational? Are we not ready to go out of our comfort zone? That mathematics we only need to check. So this thing that you just said, suppose tomorrow is my last day. It is just to give us a reality check. But the problem is on a daily basis, if you think like that, then you become desensitized to it also. I don't know. I've been thinking about I'll die tomorrow from last 2 months. I'm still alive. I think I'll be living for next 40, 50 years. It's very difficult to live in such. So that's why it is better to actually live with the association of devotees, like take association of devotees or you're fired up. Rather than, see, this is a fear is a motivator here, isn't it? So we can be motivated by fear, desire, duty, and love. So fear is the least motivator. I am studying because I don't want to fail. That is not a worth. That's not a very good. Though that means he'll just pass. Pass ho gaya, khatam. There is no aspiration to become topper or first place or whatever. That is not good. Better than that is at least have desire. That yes, I want to be topper. I want to defeat that person. I want to show that I'm a great soul and everything. At least have some energy and passion. Above that is duty. And finally, I love the subject. That's why I'm studying. So similarly, here in this case also, we can identify all those things which we would do it, but for some reason or the other, we are putting it for the next day or maybe after 1 month, after 3 months or whatever. Like there are so many stories like that where people were busy with their life, non-devotees also. Suddenly they got a heart attack and then they had a revelation. What am I doing with my life? The whole life I lived like a crazy guy, working. And then that one small heart attack gave them a new perspective to life and they made changes in their life. Similarly, we don't have to have such experiences. Right? We can actually make a list of all the things like now New Year is coming next 5-6 days. New Year resolution. Right? I have made my list, a list of things. Yesterday I was thinking that I was just like YouTube. If you are using it regularly, it gives you a reminder at the end of the year. What all you have watched. And based on that, this is your personality type. So apparently I'm a CIA agent. I am curious, I'm insightful, I'm analytical based on all the videos I watched in the last 1 year in YouTube. So that was over. And then I was thinking, okay, forget about YouTube. If I have to look back for this one whole 2025, what all I have done, what all I could have done, what all I wanted to do, but I never prioritized them for whatever reason. That became a long list. Then I thought, okay, now this is what I want to do for 2026. Right. So if we can have a list of those things which we would like to do, material life also, spiritual life also, right? Then probably that helps us much more to live the way you are saying. The whole purpose of that living is live with energy. Don't live like Jesus Christ said, na? Either you be hot or you be cold. If you're lukewarm, I'll spit you out. Basically, he said, Prabhupada said that if you are to be atheist, be like Hiranyakashipu. That Narasimhadev himself has to come and deliver you. Or if you want to be devotee, be like Prahlad Maharaj. Again, Narasimhadev comes to protect you. Don't be lukewarm devotee. Right. So this generally is said in the context of if someone just drags their feet in their spiritual life, then this gives them a jolt. But this is not very effective in the long run, not sustainable enough. Better is to have some goals in advance. Like for example, there are things which by doing you get strength. Like for example, simple question: what is it that inspires you in spiritual life? Prabhu? Prabhupada, any specific activity? Chanting. Very difficult actually. Very few people say. Chanting generally comes in the last category. Most people say prasad, books, or whatever. There are some things which are difficult for you to do. Right. Then in that case, it doesn't fall in the first category. Okay, you are free time now. Whole day is the Saturday, right? Our Prabhu has to go for office, na Prabhu? Other devotees, all of you are chutti, na corporates. Now after the prasadam is over, what's the first thing you will do? कंप्लीट राउंड कंप्लीट राउंड चलो हो गया 8 माला बाकी था कंप्लीट हो गया उसके बाद क्या प्रभु जी विल रीड भगवत गीता सो हिज इंटरेस्ट व्हाट गिव्स हिम स्ट्रेंथ इज रीडिंग भगवत गीता व्हाट अबाउट यू प्रभु व्हाट विल यू डू रीडिंग अबे प्रभु इन केस छुट्टी वाज देयर कैसे विद दैट रीड मोर चैंट मोर someone maybe anyone practicing mridangam kartal right so they may go there in that direction so those are the activities which give you strength. And there are those activities which require strength from your side to do, right? So we need to take this balance, right? So make a list of things which, okay, Krishna has said enough talking. So, so that list of things which when you do, you get strength. So make a list of that. If you do only that, then there are chances that in other aspect of our life, we may not be progressing. Like for example, like in our voice, when there are no senior devotees to supervise, then a devotee will become expert mridangam player, but doesn't know kartal. And a person knows amazing classes to give, but doesn't know cooking. Why all of this happens? Because the person just did one thing and he was keep on doing it. Other things, he never went out of his comfort zone. So maybe making a list of what are the things which you like to do, that is also important to be done, and things which are important for you to learn and know and everything. So it's a challenge, Prabhu. I would say the purpose is understood. The purpose of that statement, live like today is the last day, is to do things beyond your comfort zone. But to maintain that enthusiasm day after day, week after week, month after month, that's a challenge. So that's why we need association of devotees where we can see other devotees enthusiastic, and then we can get inspiration from them. So I think we'll end here. What time generally the class ends? 9 o'clock. Perfect. 9 to. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki, Prabhupada ki.